guys, it's Miss Morgan, and today we're working on using proportional reasoning. Now, proportions are just statements with two equal ratios. Now, we know a ratio can represent a fraction, so when we have two that are set equal to each other, they're called a proportion. So that means that A is to C the same way B is to D, or actually A is to B the same way C is to D. So we can rewrite it this way. A to B equals C to D. So out of this property, when we have two equal proportions, we can sometimes find a middle number that we multiplied or divided both of our first fraction by to get to our second one. Now, in proportions, we have means and extremes. Now, our means are our two middle numbers, so B and C are going to be the means here. And our extremes are going to be our outer numbers, so A and D are going to be our extremes. So let's look at an example. We want to find the means and extremes when we have 12 over 100 is equal to 48 over 400. So what I like to do is start by rewriting this as 12 to 100 is equal to 48 to 400. Now I know that my means are in the middle and my extremes are on the outside. So my extremes are my outer values, so that's 12 and 400. And my means are my middle values right here, so 148. So means and extremes just represent our inner and outer values here, or top and bottom are going to be our extremes, and bottom and top are going to be our means. Okay, now in proportions, cross products are equal. So cross products are actually a really great tool in proportions. So all that means is that when you multiply your cross products, A times D, that's always going to be the same as B times C. So using this property, we can solve for x when we have a proportion. So we have 3/5 is equal to 9 over x. So we want to set this up using cross proportions. So we're going to set it up as 3x is equal to 5 times 9, which is 45. Now we divide both sides by 3, and that gives us x is equal to 15. So we can solve for a missing value in a proportion by simply using cross products. So now I want you guys to try one. We have 12 over 2 is equal to x over 10. So use cross products to tell me our value of x. Is it going to be A, B, C, or D? Awesome work, guys. It's A, 60. So we cross multiply. 12 times 10 is 120, and we set that equal to 2x. Now we divide both sides by 2, and we get x is equal to 60. So we can see how understanding our cross products property in proportions is a great tool to help us find a missing value. Now we want to use proportions to find similar shapes. So when two shapes are similar, their corresponding sides are proportional. So we set our corresponding sides proportional and use cross products to solve. So our example tells us that our two triangles are proportionate, or we could also say similar, so that those two words are pretty much interchangeable in this type of example. So we need corresponding sides. That means that this leg and this leg are corresponding. The long leg and the long leg correspond, and the hypotenuse and the hypotenuse correspond. So you just need to make sure you're setting up your proportions correctly and in the same order. So we need to solve for x. So we'll say that 15 over our corresponding side 3 is the same as 25 over our corresponding side of x. So now we get 15x is equal to 75. Okay, now we divide both sides by 15, and we're going to get x is equal to 5. So using our property of our cross product property in proportions, we were able to find a missing side in similar shapes. So it's important to understand that a proportion just indicates that we have two equal ratios. And proportions carry with them a lot of really interesting properties, one of which we talked about, which is our cross-product property. So we can use that information to solve problems dealing with proportion and ultimately using our proportional reasoning. So if you guys want to work on some more examples, you can watch this tutorial again. You did some awesome work, and I'll see you next time.